Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. In today's episode, we have two great stories. First, about a guy who has no idea how to behave in a store and figure out what security is there for. And second, about a crazy lady manager who thinks she can fire a customer. But in the end, they fired her. So I hope you don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the new videos, and let's get started. You don't work here. Okay. I'll just headbutt you. This is quite a long story, so you may want to grab some popcorn. I'm a gamer, and I was down in London to visit Eurogamer, which for anybody who doesn't know is a huge video game trade show that was being held at Earl's Court. This was the last year that the event was hosted there before the building was bulldozed and the event moved to the National Exhibition Center in Birmingham, which is much closer to where I live and a whole bunch more convenient to get to. So I leave the event with plenty of time to travel across London to get to the station to catch my train, but I misjudged the amount of time it would take to make my journey and ended up at the station 2 hours before my train was due. So I had a seat booked on a specific train and was informed that I had no option but to wait, as the booking could not be transferred to an earlier train. So my options were to buy a whole new ticket or wait it out. I decided to do the latter. I left the station and decided to just have a walk around and try to kill as much time as I could. I remember going and buying a cold drink somewhere and walking around some nearby stores. I was tired and aching because I'd done so much walking over the last 3 days, my feet were proper sore. I ended up browsing the video game section of the local HMV store. So like the other posts in this sub, I should mention that HMV staff wear black t-shirts with the company logo on the front and some generic "stop me if you need help" messages on the back. They often wear lanyards too. I was wearing cargo shorts and a blue PlayStation t-shirt and a baseball cap. I also had with me a wheeled backpack trolley thing. Clearly not a staff member. So like I say, I'm looking at video games when a guy in his 50s who was clearly drunk shouts, "Oi, show me where to find this thing I've never heard of." He came right up to me, but I could smell the alcohol on his breath before he got real close. My response was, "I've never heard of it. And also, I don't work here, but I'm sure if you ask the guys at the counter, they can help you." He stood there gently swaying and just looking me dead in the eye for several seconds and said, "Find it for me, you ignorant C-word." Then he called me a P-word and a a-hole, and I was not in the mood for any of this, and I said, "Whatever, a-hole," and grabbed my bag and walked away from him. So now I was at the back of the store and decided to go down another aisle instead of walking past him. He, in his best slurred voice, told me to get back there and then started shouting loudly pretty much any obscenity you could think of. It also said he was going to kick my head in. I was now about halfway through the store listening to this P-word when I decided I'd had enough and turned and shouted something like, "Shut the F up, you effing P-head." I don't remember exactly what I said, but I turned towards the door and figured I'd just go back to the train station and wait there. Next thing I hear is the sound of quickly approaching footsteps as this effer runs right at me. I turn around to find him launching into a running headbutt. I put my hand up to defend myself and leaned backwards to avoid his attack, but I also tripped on my bag and was knocked off balance and took 3 or 4 staggering steps backward, also turning me around. Adrenaline surged through me, and I turned around ready to pummel the crap out of this guy. What I saw next was 2 ninja security guards who I swear had appeared out of thin air and had this guy pinned on his stomach on the floor. It had only been about 2 seconds, and they had him down on the ground. He was shouting his head off as he was being restrained and screaming every obscenity under the sun. The store manager, after hearing the disturbance, came running over from the front of the store and asked what was going on. I just said, "This stupid P-head's trying to cause crap," and I attempted to walk away. The security guards asked him to call the police, which he did, but he also tried to stop me from leaving until they got there. I personally didn't care about that and just wanted to leave. I was very annoyed. The manager put his arm up to try and block me. I explained to him that I had a train to catch and that I had to go. I even showed him my ticket, all while he was still on the phone to the police. All the time the P-head was screaming and going on, the security had got this guy to his feet and were dragging him to the back room to get away from all the other customers, and as they did that, he started kicking out at shelves and knocking merchandise all over the floor. The poor manager, who was both talking to the police and shouting instructions to the security staff, failed to notice that I just walked out the door. I crossed the road outside the store and went around the corner back towards the train station. As I did, I heard the sound of approaching sirens. I returned to the station and went straight down onto the platform and waited. I still had about 40 minutes till my train arrived. I just sat down with my drink and browsed the net with my phone. About 30 minutes passed until I was approached by 2 female police officers who asked if I'd just been involved in an incident at HMV. I said, yeah, some drunk guy just tried to headbutt me. They said that they understood that I was about to catch a train and didn't want to disrupt that. They asked me for my details and if I was able to give a brief statement. I said my train was about to arrive, but I could give them a quick breakdown of what happened. One officer asked me questions while the other made notes in her notebook. I told them what happened as my train pulled into the station. After telling them, we said our goodbyes and I hopped on the train, finally happy to be going home. About a week later, I receive a phone call from a police officer from my local station. He explained that he needed to take a formal written statement from me and asked if he could come see me. I was at work when I got the call, so it wasn't convenient to do it right then and there, so I arranged a time for me to go to the station and do it later that day. After giving the statement, I have to this day never heard back from the police regarding the matter. I have no idea who the guy was, what he was charged with, if he went to court or prison or anything like that. This would be the end of the story. Except about a month later, I received an email from HMV asking if I was the same person involved in the incident in their store. I guessed that they got my email address directly from the police, which at the time I considered to be a violation of data protection laws in itself. I responded to the email saying that I was. I got an email back about an hour later, which was a prepared apology from the company for what had happened, and they offered me either £100 or £150 in-store vouchers as a way of compensating or something like that. I've tried to find the email to confirm the amount, but unsurprisingly, after so much time, I don't have it anymore. I emailed them back and said that while I appreciated the gesture, it was unnecessary as it was not their fault for what happened. I'm imagining actual stereotypical ninjas just effing appearing in a puff of smoke, even though I know they're just normal security guards. It's an amusing image. And we move on to today's second story. Some of you might remember my last post about a crazy lady at Target mistaking me for an employee. Well, a different version happened not too long ago. So I was perusing around the shelves like I usually do, looking for the latest game or if any new card packs have been put up. Keep in mind, I'm wearing jeans and my new red Jimmy John shirt that's nothing but branding. As I'm about to put a discount game back on the shelf, I feel a claw grab my wrist and try to pull me in a direction. Now I'm a big guy, so this doesn't exactly do anything except startle me. I turn to see who grabbed me, and it turns out to be a fresh off the line, middle-aged female manager. Me is me. OB is old bat. Me. I'm sorry, can I help you? OB, you are coming with me now to the general manager. I've watched you this entire time just screw around and do nothing. Me. Listen, lady, I don't work here. I'm just a customer. OB, like hell, why else would you be wearing a red shirt in Target? Me. Because it's a new shirt, and I just got off work. You see it says Jimmy John's, right? OB, listen here, C-word, you will address me with respect. At this point, all diplomatic associations with this woman have dissolved. Me. No, please, go get the general manager and tell him I called you a terrible person who has no business working in retail. OB is taken aback with what I said. How dare you talk to me like that? You don't effing move. At this point, she runs off to go get the guy, and I'm just standing there thinking, why on earth people think I work here? Red shirt aside. She eventually came back with the same manager from the last story, who instantly recognizes me as the maker of his lunches. He just looks down at her and quietly tells her to go back to his office. All the while, she has this massive grin on her face. She goes to his office and leaves me and the manager in the game section. He apologized profusely to me while I say, it's okay, things happen. He explains to me that she was just recently hired into a management position and this was her first day. He asked if I wanted whatever I wanted to purchase comp for the inconvenience. I tell him it's not necessary. He does eventually break me, and I accept a $5 gift card. Now the aftermath. He goes back into his office, and I hear some indiscreet screeching from the woman, then silence. She leaves the room and just walked out the doors. Later, I learned she was fired right then and there, but seriously, why would you think it's okay to even treat a fellow employee like that? The craziest part of this is that it was her first day. Like, she screeched at, grabbed, and swore at what she thought was an employee she was managing on her first day. For F's sakes, how was she surprised she was fired? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.